All right, so Vicky writes in, do I think the Vanguard trustee services are worth it? I've heard a lot about this in the Vanguard personal advisory trustee services. Is Vanguard good for higher net worth clients, or if just beginning to invest? Please, any help would be appreciated. All right, so I was emailing Vicky back and forth because I was like, what do we need trustee services for, first and foremost? And it turns out her husband was a pretty major accident. She got a special needs daughter, and I think she's disabled too. I don't know the whole story. But it sounds like there might be some issues in actually maintenance of the accounts as because of health, and that sucks, man. No other way around that. And a lot of times trustee services are worth that. She's young. She's only like 45 years old or something like that. Her husband might be a little bit older. All right, so trustee services. Here's why I think a trustee services makes sense. And a trustee is basically you're naming a corporation, usually a lawyer, a law firm, an accountant, to be what's called a co-trustee or a successor trustee. Co-trustee means they manage your assets with you, essentially. They're a co-trustee. A successor trustee means they kick in after you're either incapacitated or after you're dead. Generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of this stuff. We used to do this at USA with trusteed IRA services, and USA would push this like crazy. It was just it's just not worth it, generally speaking, because a lot of times you have a trusteed IRA, it doesn't do anything until you're incapacitated. And then you got to ask yourself, what are we trying to accomplish once I'm incapacitated? What is the trustee going to do to earn the fee? And a lot of times a fee ain't cheap, like 1.5. And so if you're a 55-year-old guy and you got a couple $1,000,000, you're like, I need a trustee IRA. You're like, well, I'd say, why? Well, because if something happens to me, I want to make sure my wife's taken care of, right? Come here. Hold on. All right, here's Pablo. All right, guys, so we're going to spend oogles and goodles of money while you're 55 years old to make sure your wife's taken care of if something happens to you that A, probably won't happen anytime soon, and B, if it happens, could happen many years from now, and C, assumes that she doesn't know how to take care of it anyway. I never understood that argument, and that's what the trustees people would make. In Vicky's case, it's significantly different. Husband's not in a good place. Vicky's disabled, if memory serves. I can't remember the whole thing, and they got a special needs daughter. That's different because there's a lot of balls in the air there that they need someone to basically guide them in their financial decisions. I get that, but generally speaking, I'm not a fan. I'm just not. I just don't think it's worth paying 1.5% of assets for something. If you're in pretty good health, for something that you A, probably will never need, and B, if you do need, it's going to be many, many years from now. You can always name, if you want to do this, your IRA, for instance, as your you can always name the trust as a beneficiary of your IRA. So let's just say it's me and Shar, and I got $2 million, which I don't, but just say I did, in my IRA. I died. I'm very, very nervous about Charles being able to manage the money, because I'm worried about snake oil salesmen. So I name a successor trustee as my beneficiary. Essentially my living trust is my beneficiary, which names a successor trustee to manage the affairs to benefit my wife. I will never do that, frankly, because A, Charlotte's not stupid, and B, I don't understand why. I just will never do that. There's no other way around that. Now, if I have kids that sniff coke and shooting crap up their veins, yeah, I'm going to name a trustee to make sure they don't hurt themselves. Hi, buddy, look at that. Look at that sweet, sweet boy. Look at that sweet, sweet boy. I'm going to name a trustee for my IRA to make sure that they don't do that and kill themselves. If it's non-IRA, all I do is I put my investments into a living trust where I am what's called the grantor, and Charlotte is the grantor as well, because the joint tenants rights of survivorship generally, or community property, and we name the trust. We basically gift the assets to the trust. There's no gift tax here because we are still in control. We still pay the income tax. And so Charlotte and I are co-trustees, with a successor trustee being my man Jordan over at Creative Planning, for instance. And I actually no qualm with that. But again, if something were to happen to me, Charlotte's going to know what to do. I mean, she's not dumb. Put it all in Vanguard, 4 years cash, the rest in VTI or rest in Wellington, and be done with it, man. And just every year, pull what you need from the account. It's that simple, and nothing fancy about that. So generally speaking, I think trust services, kind of like long-term care, they get way oversold, and the service is way under-delivered. Now, I also have a a problem because I used to work in banking. I remember seeing these banks trustees or a First Union Bank, which is went to First Union, then Wachovia, then something, and I think it's Wells Fargo. Anyway, and I never forget some of these trustee guys. You're like, Grandma Jones has set up an account, or hell, Grandpa Jones has set up an account to benefit Grandma Jones, and they have these corporate trustees types from the bank, and I was not impressed. Now, look, this is anecdotal. I'm not saying there aren't some good trustees out there. I'm not saying that at all. But I remember this one guy, but as dumb as a rock, man. And it's just, he'd had no client service skills. He used to piss me off. We'd have joint meetings with my clients and this guy. And because I was just assigned to these people. Finney's over there chasing ghosts. And I just remember this guy you could tell, it was almost like a doctor. He said, I got 15 minutes, I got to go. And you're like, dude, you have this fee. You're paying, these people are paying you 1.5%. At least you can do is freaking pretend like you care. It used to drive me crazy. So maybe it's just my own bias against the trust services. But generally speaking, I'm just not a fan. All right. Love your thoughts. Thanks now.